So the hardest part for entrepreneurs when it comes to money is we don't have consistent income. I literally lost every penny I ever made. And it was a very dark night of the soul type moment where it's either, no, I don't, I should just kill myself. And I came to the realization that I had value just because God created me. And if I was valuable enough for him to create, then I should be valuable enough for myself.
You mentioned earlier Charlie Kirk, and obviously this has been a big subject lately, bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like even after his assassination, I was like, this is going to be big. And then I remember saying to a couple people the following days later, this is way bigger.
Well, is it going to be a news flash that's gone in 4 days from the cycle or not? And it's getting bigger by the day. I think they've had 50,000 applications to open up chapters now.
Yes.
For Turning Point.
Yeah.
And they were at 5,000 before, I think, or 8,000, something like that.
Unreal.
Yeah. It's just, and I think it's going to impact midterm elections coming up next year. I think it's going to have a huge impact on that. And then you see what it's happening from an administration perspective now, where Trump is now, in the wake of this, gone ahead and labeled Antifa as a terrorist organization, which then gives them the ability to go around and use a RICO case law to wrap up all of the people that have been funding Antifa, which included George Soros and a bunch of other people funding all of these NGOs. So his death could literally be the thing that brings down the entire network of organizations that have been trying to take down America for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild how it's not just a sad moment. It literally is a turning point in the destiny of America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had you been following Charlie prior to his assassination?
Yes and no. Casually, not every day type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was just another conservative leader, like doing cool stuff. Cool. But nothing that stood out to me specifically. Steven Crowder doing the other college campus thing and debate me type stuff. I just put it in the same category.
Yeah. Where do you find that you align with him, or where you're inspired by Charlie's message, and where might you disagree with him? I'm
going to say I agree with him 99% of his stuff. First and foremost, I'm aligned with him on defending the United States constitutional values, defending our, Christian heritage, basically, and value set. I'm aligned with him on trying to end DEI programs that literally just cause more racism. So, man, I really can't think of an area where I was not aligned with him around things. I loved that he was really focused on going around and just having a dialogue with people who were very different than him, right? Good. And what I think people are going to realize is now there's a couple of individuals who are going out and trying to take his spot. Alex Jones is talking about continuing the campus tour. Milo, conservative gay activist, coming out and starting up again. And I think there was another individual. As they might be well-meaning, they are not equipped from an emotional intelligence perspective to do that successfully. You don't have Alex Jones, whom I've listened to for 20 years, and I love the way he's contributed to our society in his own individual way. Going to campus, he's not going to have a dialogue with you. He's going to argue with you. He's going to dominate that conversation. That's just his personality type. I'm not aware of anyone that is going to be able to do what Charlie did. And I think people took it for granted with the way that he handled some of the most difficult situations with patience and grace that the average person, not the average person, that I don't know if anybody else is going to be able to fill those shoes. So, yeah.
It's remarkable. Yeah. You're not like most men. You don't just scroll, you study. You don't just parent, you lead. And you don't just read, you implement. And that's why we made this, a no-fluff, battle-tested list of books that sharpen men like you. Picked by our tribe, proven in real life, these books are going to stretch your mind, fuel your growth, and challenge who you thought you had to be. These aren't just great reads. They're tools to help you grow as a father, husband, and a man. Get the list and all the insights that bring it to life at frontrowdads.com/books. I loved that he was a stand for debate or conversation.
Yeah.
Like if somebody asked, what's the one thing that I was most inspired by? It's like that principle. And I loved his conviction. I love when people have conviction in things that I believe are, morally upstanding and good and healthy for the most part. Which are all subjective terms to some degree, but like when it feels like somebody is a stand for something good, that feels amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's what he was creating, and ultimately why he was taking out is because of the impact he was having on the youth.
Yeah,
right. And that's a situation where, we talked about, have we had conversations with our kids around that event over the past week? And the answer is yes. And it was around asking them, hey, what do you guys see on social media? What are your friends saying about this?
Yeah.
What are your teachers saying about this? Because we've seen the other side of the negativity that's come up.
Sure.
People cheering on his death, right? And it's come from school teachers and people in positions of power and authority. And so that's really the scariest part to me, is I wanted to know, it gave us an insight into who they were being exposed to on social. And
that's powerful.
And that to me is all that matters.
Powerful.
It's like who's in their ear whispering
exactly right.
their stuff. That's what I want to know.
That's huge.
And fortunately, they're in friends groups or following people on social that are aligned with our values and how we saw it as well, which is a really sad moment. And so we really focused on talking about that and what he stood for and why it's important. And hey, if people are telling you that he's this way or that way and making him out to someone who he wasn't, be aware of that, because they have an agenda. And so if you see all of these clips on how he was racist or how he did this or how he did that, just understand that those are taken out of context. They're little sound bites, and they're being used as propaganda to push forward an agenda that is against the Constitution, that's against Christian faith and Christian beliefs, and against what we stand for as a family. So if you see that happening, be conscious of where that's coming from and why.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing that we discussed.
See, I think that part is what's so important when we talk with our kids, is the opportunity to use any moment, including this one, to teach our kids to be discerning, to be, like for us to understand, as you just said, who they're being influenced by. Like that's a fascinating discovery. Because arguably, I could make a point that has equal, if not greater, influence oftentimes on our kids at a certain age than we have.
Well, they're spending more time. It's whoever you spend most time with.
Exactly.
And they're spending more time with their friends and on their phone and with their teachers.
Exactly right.
That's 80% of their time on a daily basis. So yeah, keeping your pulse on the thumb of what's being said in those conversations is important. Even sitting down and saying, hey man, let me see who you follow on Instagram or just YouTube, or take a look. And then I'll always recommend other individuals for him to follow. Yeah. Hey, why don't you go follow Charlie? Why don't you follow this person? Why don't you follow this person? So it gets into their feed. And frankly, what I'm doing is I want to seed, and this is with, his participation. So I'm not going behind his back or anything, but I want to seed his feed with people who are aligned with our values, because it's going to train the algorithm to just promote more of that stuff instead of the other stuff. So to me, that's, just a must do in modern day parenting these days in the age of social media. So
it's so funny. I was with one of our front row dads recently, Jason Bronstad. He's an awesome dude, CEO of Malk, if you know the company. And he was over at my house, and I was talking to him about Instagram feeding me some things that I didn't want. And he heard me say that, and then he forwarded me all these Forrest Frank do you know Forrest Frank? He's a musician. He's an artist that focuses on Christian music, but he's kind of like, he's attracting, like his following is massive with the younger audience. And he just sends me these songs and he says, click on all of them and we'll adjust your algorithm. Yeah. Sure enough, dude, all these Forrest Frank things started showing up.
100%.
I think, so that to me is very valuable. Even beyond what somebody's opinion is of Charlie Kirk, is to take whatever's happening in the world, use it as an opportunity to connect with your kids, spark some great family discussion at dinner or wherever you have it. And then that's the part I think a lot of dads struggle with. How do I bring this up? What questions do I ask? What should I care about? And I think that it's okay for kids to know what dad thinks, what dad values. I think that's great. And I also think it's important that we help our kids to figure out what they think. Does that feel good to you or bad to you? Why or why not? Like, what is their opinion? Because I think that's cultivating the skill of discernment and figuring out what's truthful for them.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
It's your area of expertise, my man. So,
well, working on it. I feel like I'm continually working on it. So on this topic of Charlie and other big like life issues, do you feel that you ever push too hard with your kids? Like you try to engage them in stuff like this and they're resistant to?
Yeah. I mean, they're teenagers, man. So I would love to sit down with them every night and talk about this stuff. And you kind of get like that type of energy, right? Like, so
it's good to know I'm not the only one.
Yeah. So, we have incredible kids. We're on the lower tier of, that kind of eye roll stuff that we might get once a month or something like that. But, I would love to engage them more. I'd really love when I'm driving Chase to school in the morning, I'm playing YouTube videos about what's going on in the economy, what's going on in the world. And I would love for him to engage more in that. He just doesn't take an interest in it. And I'm just like, oh man, come on. Tesla's doing really cool stuff. And he's like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
So
a lot of like letting go also. And
I mean, the more you try to force it, like, watch it, it's not going to go well. So yeah.
So talk to me a little bit further about your stance on free speech, your stance on, even for you and your family, like as a dad, as somebody who, you go online and you share some of your opinions. Do you have a filter of what you'll say and not say online, on air? Like, where do you draw the line to say, I want to speak my truth, but I'm not trying to engage people in unhealthy conversations? Or do you not bite your tongue at all?
I will say what I mean, but I will do my best to do it after a day of thought. I'll rarely do it in a moment. Like I sent out an email the day after his assassination this week that was, pretty straight,
right?
Around how I felt, and there was still some emotion involved in that email, given that it was so soon afterward. But it was honest, and I stand behind what was in that email. And
did you get pushback?
Yeah, I got a couple nasty responses and unsubscribes and all of that, but I'm used to that throughout my career. I will say what I mean. And for me, that's actually a really important aspect of being a leader, is not intentionally shying away from being disruptive or controversial. Because I realized years ago during 2020, actually, that if you don't raise your hand and tell the world what you stand up for, the people who would love to follow you in your work and support you can't find you. So it's like you're in a giant sea of people. And if you don't go stand on the mountain with your flag and say, this is what I'm about, you're going to lose people when you do that, but the people who are going to love you can't see you. They can't find you, right? And so anytime I send out a message like that, I know I'm going to lose people and piss them off. And I know the people who are in alignment with my value set are going to be even closer to me after that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's really what it is. It's a pruning process of speaking your truth, getting that out there in a public way. If you're in, a leadership business like I am, and let those folks find you, and let the ones who disagree with you find their person.
Yeah.
And not be shy about it.
Yeah.
And make sure that you can stand behind what you said.
Yeah. So I would generally say I'm not a fan of censorship across the board. Yeah, and I think in 2020, it really started to hit me when I was very upset when people were being silenced, removed, etc.
Yep.
Now I don't actually track the news a lot. So what I'm about to say next, I don't have a lot of information on. You may not either. I don't know. But this Jimmy Kimmel being removed.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch what happened. I didn't watch what he said. I don't know anything about that. But there was a part of me that was like, look, I'm not a fan of people laughing at like Charlie Kirk's death, right? I'm not a fan of that. I don't think that's a classy move at all. But I also would even just say, I'm making something up here, that even if he did say something, I'm not sure, is it worthy of removing somebody? Because I don't want to censor either.
It's a very fine line.
Yeah. So
it's a very, 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 very fine line. And you know, I've followed that story closely. So
talk to me, tell me.
When you have a history of inciting an audience to commit violence and to kill someone, like there should be consequences to that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a leader in the public forum, if you will. And for him, if you look at it from their news organization and you look at his stats, his show has been on the decline. It's declined like 80% in views over the last year, month after month after month after month. Like you or I would get more views on a podcast episode probably, over the course of a month. And his show is getting 120,000 views an episode.
Wow.
Which is nothing for a mainstream global show that's, has tens of millions of dollars a year in expenses and salaries and things like that. So I think the station was frankly looking for an excuse to get rid of them and cut those contracts and get out of that because they were just hemorrhaging money.
Yeah.
So there's an aspect to that. And if that wasn't the case, is it still right? It's a very fine line where I believe 100% in freedom of speech. I was in the same boat as you for COVID, where I got silenced by Instagram for speaking up against that stuff. And that's the bedrock of a free republic, right? So we have to have that. And if somebody's coming out and saying, we need to kill Elon Musk, we need to kill Donald Trump, we need to kill this, we need to kill that, and people start doing that, then man, you got to be held accountable. It's like almost like as if you're an accomplice to that murder, if you're inciting people to go do it. So what did he say? I don't have the specific words off the top of my head, but it was, again, he's multiple times over the years been encouraging people to go kill people like Charlie and Trump, right? Okay. It's like, what was the redhead gal that held up the head of Donald Trump, where she cut it off the first time he got elected? Kathy Griffin.
Okay. No.
Like freedom of speech. Yeah. Okay. And if people start getting assassinated because of that behavior, and we have to continue to view ourselves, even if we're dysfunctional, as a family, the American family. And if you have a house divided against itself, that house will fall. And unfortunately, we have massive, very powerful organizations who know they cannot beat the United States in a direct conflict, who have for the past 20 or 30 years been working to circumvent our military and break us up from the inside, right? To compromise our politicians, compromise our attorneys, compromise our judges is where Epstein comes in, control those people through blackmail. Then you have them taking advantage of the right to free speech and, all of these other rights that other countries don't have, where you can say whatever you want on social media, on the air and whatever, and start to really create divides between people. And so now you've taken a unified family and you've started to fracture them and split them in two. And then you have NGOs who are then using their money to, again, pay for riots, pay for payoffs and all of this stuff to continue to grow that divide. And I have always said that if the mainstream media somehow became unified around creating unification between Americans, between socioeconomic statuses, between race, between all of this stuff, and they just started promoting on a daily basis, Americans helping Americans, white people helping black people helping white people, doing cool stuff together, having family events, doing sports, going to church, all of this stuff, and really just communicating the American dream that we've had here for a couple hundred years now, and promoting a positive vision for America's future. Here's where we're going. Here's what we're going to build together. Here's what we're going to do together. All of this shit would be gone in 12 months. All of the riots would be over. All of the crime would go down. All of the division would go away. And man, we'd be back, in the early 2000s, late 90s, where it's just about cool music and sports and building the American dream up. And we didn't have all the shit that we're dealing with right now. So to me, that just tells me that we're in a jar. it's like a bunch of ants in a jar and somebody keeps stirring up the jar and getting everybody fired up, and they're doing it intentionally. Because at the end of the day, our country is at war from an ideological perspective and literally a guerrilla warfare perspective. There's literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of military-aged combatants in the United States, from South America, from China, from Russia, who are in this country sabotaging it from the inside right now. And the American people just aren't aware of it because they don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And that's just breaking everything up and apart. And so hopefully Trump is doing his best, putting the people he's appointed in his administration to bring that through to an end. Charlie's death will play a massive pivotal role in actually making that happen now. And I can all but guarantee you that by the end of this term, you will see people in handcuffs, like standing trial for, what they've done against this country. So I think that needs to happen. Accountability needs to happen, or if consequences are not doled out, then this behavior just gets encouraged and then it just all falls apart.
Yeah.
So,
I want to thank you for all that, by the way. Sure. And, I want to bring this back to kids for a moment,
sure,
or to our home, because a lot of what you were just saying, I can't help but, imagine myself in my home with my family talking about the vision, painting a picture of people working together. Like when you talk about casting a vision of unity and collaboration, I think, how am I doing that in my home? When I think about about speaking up or standing up for something that I believe in without fear, I can look back on many times as a father when I didn't do that. Mm-hmm. And I can think of countless examples where I just didn't speak up. And I think my kids suffered from that. My family suffered because dad didn't just share his confident voice. Mm-hmm. In some ways, I was afraid of my kids over the years. I was afraid of saying the wrong thing, or maybe even just like, I didn't want to be a dictator in my house, like this aggressive, overly aggressive. So I went too far the other way, and I was too considerate. And I was like, well, I don't know, let's come up with a rule together, versus like, this is the rule.
Yeah.
And there is something, again, so powerful about having an opinion, right? Standing firm in your values. Yes, welcoming dialogue and debate, but having conviction, those things, and having a vision, because I think just like politics, a dad can create division. We can do manipulative things. I've done manipulative things in my house where I can, if I'm not a stand for togetherness, I can actually I can be part of the problem with mom not getting along with a kid. I can go to the kid and go, I understand she's really difficult to get along with, and create division in my home, under the banner of compassion, as an example. There's so many parallels to how we treat the world and what's happening in that space, and how I show up at home.
Sure.
Trying to hold myself accountable for a more solid version of Jon, mm-hmm. both publicly in this space of being able to stand and speak for what I care about, which I haven't always done. I'm like, shit, I'm not quite sure what I want to say about that. And I do the same thing at home.
I think the zeitgeist is changing. I think for the last 10, 15 years, there was a lot of confusion around how do you be a parent today? How much in your masculine should you be?
Yeah.
What's the role of the wife? Because now they've been put in a more of a masculine role, and men have been kind of demasculated. And it's like, it's been confusing. And I think that confusion spread to gender dysphoria and all of these other things that have been going on in society as a result of that. And I think that is now course correcting literally in the last 12 months, where it's like American masculinity is cool, and people are starting to understand the purpose that it has, what it looks like when it's healthy and when it's not healthy.
Yeah.
And I think Charlie was frankly a big role model for many people around what healthy masculine looks like, a healthy marriage looks like, right? Healthy fatherhood looks like, even though he only had a few short years at that. I think he was a good role model in many aspects that is now becoming what's cool and what's in the zeitgeist again.
Yeah. Well said. Brother, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having
this conversation.
Great to see you as always.
This was really fun.
Thank you.
Anything we didn't say that you want to say?
Man, I think we covered a lot, and thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah.
As always, brother.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening today, fellas. If you got value from this episode, I ask that you take 1 second right now and you share this with another dad in your life that you respect, that you know is committed to becoming a better man, family man, and businessman. And on that note, I want to honor you for choosing growth. Your family will thank you years from now for all the effort that you're putting in to learn the strategies so you can show up more fully for them today. Take care.